live. I believe we'll be live in a couple of minutes. So,
No, I can see that.
Live on Facebook. Good morning, everyone. How are you all? Good morning, Lisa. It's lovely to see you here.
Oh, I'm so excited. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, it's lovely. Like we were just saying, we haven't had a chance with the busyness of everything that's happening to actually connect for a few weeks. So we are in the same mentor group, coaching group as each other, and the beautiful Diane McKendrick has both of us and giving us coaching, her personal coaching, and that's how we've met basically, isn't it? And I remember you saying that you were living on the Sunshine Coast at one stage and only moved a little while ago, which is like, I probably have run into you at some stage. I've been on the coast for almost 30 years. So
it's been a while since I was on the sunny coast. I've been all over the shop. So I'm in Tassie now, and I grew up here, and then finished the sunny coast. I did finish high school on the sunny coast, and then I've been in Brisbane, and then been to New South Wales, Victoria, NT, ACT. Oh, sorry, not ACT, South Australia, and now back to Tassie. So I've done the full loop.
You're a bit of a gypsy, is that right? You were a bit of a gypsy.
I'm a bit of a wanderer, yeah. And it used to be something I thought, oh, why can't I settle? Why can't I find my, plant roots? But I realised through some kind of deep inner work that it's just who I am. Like, I'm constantly looking for that next adventure and that next thing. Like, it's not that I can't be settled; it's that I choose to move on to something new. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful, lovely. So you are in Tasmania, and tell us a little bit about like yourself, your family, that type of thing, and then we'll talk about the business. But for now, just a little bit about yourself, what you're doing, that type of thing.
Awesome. So we have been in Tassie for just over 12 months now. I've got a young family. I've got 2 kids, Poppy, who's 7, and Elliot, who's nearly 5. So they take up most of my time. So up until when I had but just after I had Elliot, I went back to work. My background's in psychology, so that's been where I've worked most of my career. And when I had Elliot, sort of took some time off and have predominantly been at home with them, but sort of, getting again some itchy feet, knowing that there's something more for me. And so that's where the business has come from, just wanting to, I guess, have that freedom to be able to, prioritize my family. And so that's, what's brought me here. But I say I've traveled all over the place. Within Australia, I've lived in every state and territory bar WA and ACT. So I've got plans for my next thing. I think we're going to be going up the West Coast, so I just have that feeling. So I am very intuitive. So, psychology was and has been fantastic, and it's still a big part of what I incorporate in my coaching. But the intuitive side of things is something that has been growing over time, and where I really feel that's where I sit really well. So that's where I combine the psychology with the woo-woo spiritual aspect to create life alignment coaching.
So I guess with the psychology and the intuitiveness, it really aligns together, doesn't it? Because you absolutely need a little bit of that intuition when you're coaching and guiding people, in whatever direction they're on. It's interesting. I'm coming back to your children. You said that you have a son called Elliot. That was always going to be my son's name if I ever had another son. So I love that name. I don't know where it's come. It could have been, I don't know, but I've always loved that name. It's just a beautiful name, beautiful soul.
It is, and he's a very special kid. I mean, both of them are, but even from from day dot, like, he's just, I know there's just his gentleness around him, and he's very I know, for everyone that meets him is just very drawn to him. So yeah, he's a special kid.
Special person. Lovely. So you said before about the fact that you were a psychologist and you use your little bit of woo-woo intuitiveness. So tell us more about your business and how you coach women and help women.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think being in that psychology arena for so long, like usually by the time people come and see a psychologist, they're not doing particularly well. Like life's kind of gone off track and they're struggling. And I always found it quite, I could see the potential, and I guess I could, again, from that intuitive perspective, kind of see the bigger picture stuff and what was probably contributing to how they were feeling in that moment. So when I stopped work, when I had the kids, it got me thinking. And also, when I had the kids, for me, things changed a lot as well, my priorities and my perspective on life. And I started to realize that there was so many similarities, in particularly in the women that I was working with, in that they dedicate most of their life to, I'm going to say, pleasing other people, for making sure that everyone else has been looked after and not looking after themselves. And I could see that that's what had also been happening with me. And I knew that if I continued on down that path, then I would potentially be one of those people seeking psychological treatment down the track as well, because I was living a life that wasn't really in alignment with who I truly was. I was living the life that I thought that I should live and doing the things that I thought I should do. And in particular, working with or talking to a lot of the mums who had kids at the same age. And we all sort of spoke about how, we're having this internal struggle, yet we're keeping up appearances and we're kind of putting on this facade that everything's going really well and everything's great, but inside we're kind of, really struggling. So I wanted to start that conversation. I wanted to get people to be able to identify much sooner when they were essentially living a life that wasn't of their choosing, or they were creating the life on by default. So I sort of worked out, well, what did I need to do in order to make myself feel happy and aligned, and like my life was a deliberate choice. And then I've created the coaching to help women to kind of find that. So it's like finding your true north and helping people, particularly mums, because you've got these competing demands always. And it's I used to find myself sometimes thinking back to what it would have been like and how much easier this whole process would be if you didn't have kids, because you could just purely focus on yourself and kind of feeling. So I know there's a lot of that stuff that goes on for mums. So it's about how do you create the life that you truly desire, given your circumstances. So finding the things that you can work on. I use a lot of teachings of the law of attraction to help people to manifest what they're wanting in their life. But because of that, the thing I think that stops most people from, I don't say believing, but actively using law of attraction, is the emotional side of it and the mindset. So I work drawing in all that psych background and all the tools that I've developed through that career to help people master their emotions and their mindset, and therefore then create a really clear vision of what they want. Because I think, again, most people don't even allow themselves to go there because they put a ceiling on what they think is possible based on what is at the moment. So yeah, it's a bit of a process, but that's where the direction of the business has come from.
Beautiful. I love that, because most women, as they have children, and even the women that don't have children, there's that expectation that they have children, and then when they haven't done that, it's like, oh, okay. So because it's a society that's layered these conditioning expectations on us as women. And I can even talk to my father, who's the previous generation, and he will always say to me, oh, but you're wasting your time, you're never going to be able to help anyone, you're just almost like you're having a game of a ladies kind of thing, and what you it's that expectation that you allow to be imprinted onto you, and then removing some of those layers and working away at those layers is when you will actually see that to get balance in your life and not to keep giving is where the gold is, basically. You know, like that's how you give them back a little part of themselves. Is that, you know, right in saying that?
Yeah, definitely. And I guess a big motivator for me was to break that pattern so that I could model for my kids, but particularly Poppy, that she can do anything and be anyone that she chooses to be. And I'm very mindful of the way that I interact with her and the way that we, you know, the language we use is really important. And just to kind of model that and demonstrate for her that she's got, you know, the world is her oyster and she can literally have anything. I don't want to pigeonhole either of my kids into, you know, my expectations of them. Realizing that it was interesting because I could probably pinpoint a few little things along the way, but it was more of a subconscious conditioning, you know, as opposed to people sort of saying, well, you have to do this or you have to act this way, you have to dress this way, that type of thing. But that's where I find the most powerful work that I do is actually helping women to find their true self, because that's something I think most women, you know, or most people don't know. They're not clear about that. And then everything else falls into place once they've kind of gotten to that, you know, pulled, you know, removed all the layers and gotten to the core of who they truly are.
It's interesting. I was at a dance event on Saturday with a friend, and she has a 4-year-old that's in the dance. And the little one got up there and did her first dance, but the second dance, I could hear this crying in the background, I want my mommy, you know. So she didn't go on. And I looked at her when they went back and got the little girl, and her mother just praised her for what she did do, didn't focus on the other aspect of it. And I thought, wow, that was really powerful for me to see that. But then in another instance, you know, you see these people that have got little 3-year-olds and they're pushing these 3-year-olds up on there to be dancers. And it's like, oh my Lord, you know, and the poor little one's just bawling her eyes out. And it's like, you know, where's the parent, and, you know, what expectation are you putting on that child at this young age?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I've got Elliot calling out to me. I've just got to be, I'm just.
You're right.
I'm sorry. It's just, I'll explain in a second. Hi,
So this is what happens, everyone, when we're doing lives and we have mums who are juggling, I guess, you know, life and their families, and, you know, really understanding that life happens and we are adaptable. So my next question for Lisa is that does she have a go-to style? But we will ask her that in a moment. So if you are watching this and you would like some more info from Lisa, please comment in the chat, you know, something like, I guess, live or chat or something like that. And Lisa will comment and get some details from you. So take it away, Lisa. Our next question is around, do you have a go-to style? Is he okay? Is he all right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I'll tell you about that.
Yeah. Okay. So do you have a go-to style? Like, I know that we've had some conversations around clothing, and it's interesting when I go back to the children again, when I see the Targets and the Kmarts and the, you know, all the big brands that have all these glitter clothes out there for young children at the moment. And even though it's beautiful, I think it's taken it too far. I believe, you know, that a lot of women, they may not do it themselves, but they'll dress their children in it, and it's almost like they're vicariously living through their children. And I get really, you know, it puts a really it doesn't leave a really good what's the word? I can't think of the word, but it's like, you know, fashion and style. Fashion is fashion. Style you have forever, you know. And if you teach your children that at an early age, not to be consumers, but to be, you know, really happy in who you are with your body and with whatever clothes you have, then you're more inclined to give them that balance about loving their body, which is where I come from, you know, as a stylist, you know, helping women overcome some of those things that have been instilled in us from a young age. So
interesting you say that. I'll talk a bit about my style, or I'd probably say lack thereof. But
no, you don't. You have an infinite style of your own. Yes. So
yeah. But I've always been really mindful, particularly with Poppy, is to give her a choice. And we, you know, chose to kind of keep everything fairly neutral when she was younger, and then she went through a stage where she gravitated to all the frilly, you know, fancy dresses, and she's now most comfortable in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt, and we'll give her the option of anything that she wants, you know, that she can wear, and she always chooses that. And the other thing I'm really mindful of is not casting any sort of judgment or having an opinion about that, letting her feel comfortable. My husband on occasions, and he doesn't anymore because I've kind of put him in the right place, but he'll say things like, "You're not wearing that, are you? That's so daggy," or, you know, and I always said, "Poppy," I say, "do you feel comfortable wearing this?" And if she says yes, then I'm like, perfect, that's fine. And I don't want her to. And it's because I did grow up where mum made most of our clothing, and I kind of just wore what was there. But I loved the big, you know, the flowy dresses and, you know, things like that. I really love that. As I've grown up, and I think that this is where what we were talking about before comes into it, is because I feel like again, subconsciously and through, you know, the conditioning of media and, you know, that when I was growing up, it was the glossy magazines, and I think it's a lot harder now with social media, particularly Instagram for the younger ones. If I guess trying to fit in through the clothes that I was wearing, and I had an incident when I was in high school, and I was quite alternative. Like, I'd wear, you know, funky clothes that I felt comfortable. I thought they were great, and I had this situation that I can pinpoint as a turning point where I went more mainstream because I didn't want to stand out. I didn't want that type of attention. And so from then, I think I've just kind of gone with the fads and the flows. But I also had no confidence in knowing what to wear or how to present myself. You know, very shy and a people pleaser. I sort of looked to other people for validation, and the people that were around me at particular points weren't very supportive or encouraging or nurturing. They were quite critical. And so I kind of took on all of that as my beliefs about myself. And it's not really been until quite recently that I've gone, hang on a second, who, you know, through the same thing, well, who am I? How do I, you know, how do I feel about a lot of self-love stuff, and working on my own health journey, and finding now that I feel a lot more comfortable in my skin and that I want to express myself, but still at that point where it's like, well, I'm not quite sure. I haven't quite found me and my style yet. I was thinking about it when you sent through the questions. I think it's I like things to be easy. Generally in my life, I like things to be as easy as possible, take the stress out of it. Anything that makes me overthink things is just not helpful. I know that for myself. So I like to have, you know, kind of a basic style that I can dress up or dress down. Yeah.
I love that, because most women, you know, like comfort, like the ease of just being able to grab whatever is in the wardrobe and put it together and make a story about how we're feeling on any particular day, you know. So it's interesting you said express yourself, because what you're wearing is always an expression of yourself. So, you've got your beautiful aqua on, which is surrounded around your throat chakra, and this part of your voice and your messaging. And I've got the pink on, which is almost like the love, and the white, which is the higher vibration. So it's tuning in and expressing, yourself and what your messaging is. That's most important. But it is interesting that subconsciously a lot of this has occurred, and it's only now that we're beginning to understand, how this has an effect on our emotions. So yeah.
Like I went through, the phase of, as I said, being quite, quite squished down, like,
Shrinking, almost shrinking.
And self-esteem, was very low, and I just kind of wanted to fade into the background. Like I didn't want to be seen. So I know that the clothing that I, my style was, don't look at me. Like I just don't want anyone to see me. And now I feel a lot more comfortable to, add some color and actually, and it's interesting because I still notice the self-talk come up when I wear something different, and I keep thinking, I wonder what people are people going to notice that I'm changing my style, and how do you deal with that once you sort of go from being, normal and pretty boring in what you wear to kind of expressing yourself. And I'm going, no, it's fine. Like, and it's interesting because no one's really even, making a comment on it. Like it's just not, other than to say, oh, that looks nice, or it's being very complimentary. So it's interesting how your stories play out in so many different areas of your life.
We put a lot of it on ourselves. We put a lot of that patterning on ourselves, and those stories and those beliefs on ourselves. So it is interesting. So what are your greatest achievements in regards to your style journey? Is there an achievement in your style journey?
I'd say probably where I am right now, just in that, I've done a lot of work in accepting myself and loving myself where I am. I mentioned my health journey, so I have been on a really, and I say a health journey rather than a weight loss journey, but the result of that has been that I've been able to lose some weight, and that's to what I feel. It's more, for me, it's about fitness and health as opposed to how I look. But I say that, but in the back of my mind is like, it was all about their weight too. So so for me, it's just about being in a place now where I feel comfortable. And even when I, if I look in the mirror and your brain still goes to, what's wrong or what's not where you want it to be, being able to switch that quite quickly with the mindset tools to be able to say, no, well, this is, you're always a work in progress. Like that's my business name, your life is always in the process of becoming, and you get to choose where that goes. And so just reminding myself constantly that I'm still in the process of becoming, and it's going to evolve. And I think the biggest success, or the thing that I'm most excited about, is watching that evolve and being excited to see where I, but I say where I end up, I won't end up anywhere because it's constantly evolving.
Yeah, it is a constant. Yeah. And I must admit, I love seeing the journey that you've been on, because I do remember way back when, and just where you are even now as opposed to there. It's just beautiful to see the Lisa that you are at this stage.
Yeah. And it surprised me because I was reflecting on it last night with Di, actually, and it's only been about 4 months. Like it's really been, it feels like it's been, like, I guess for me, all the lead up to kind of just going, what, I'm doing this and making it happen, feels like that's the stuff that feels like a long time. But just to see how much of a change you can make in your life in a really short period of time when you actually just commit to doing it, it's amazing.
Yeah, commitments. It's all about commitment, isn't it? Yeah, commitment to yourself. Yeah. So that leads to the next question, which is, what advice would you give women that want to change and make a difference in their lives? What would you suggest, or what would you recommend to those women?
just get started. Every small thing that you do is progress, and it's part. Now, this is going to sound a little bit contradictory because it's twofold. Is one is have a really clear picture of where you want to go, and the second is be comfortable with it evolving over time. Because I think that sometimes we get so caught up in the what we want, that we stick so, we're so inflexible around that we miss things along the way. So it's about tuning in and allowing that to evolve over time. But with the clear vision, it's about, for me, it was not about, what I wanted to see on the scales, or, as much as I had those goals in mind, it was more a feeling. It was more about what I wanted to do that I wasn't doing now. What did I want my life to look like?
Yeah.
How did I want to feel? What did, when I think about a day in the life of, the woman that I want to become, what does that look like? And there were certain behavioral patterns and certain things that were glaringly obvious that had to change. And so that's where I started with making those changes. So it's, small steps, like just get started. Don't wait for Monday or next year, or, and don't set a arbitrary goal for the sake of it. Like, have meaning. There's got to be meaning behind why you do it. Otherwise you won't get there.
Yeah. What you were saying then is I picked up set an intention, and let go of perfectionism. That's a big one. A lot of us, we aren't prepared to put our ugliness out there, our rawness, and people will follow us because of that, because they see us as, that raw individual, that person that sometimes, is not coping, is not perfect, so that is all part of the journey. That is part of the learning. So let go of that and just set your intention, be very clear about that. So thank you, Lisa. That's beautiful. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
I have given this so much thought since I saw that question, and I'm going to say living the life that I've consciously chosen and that I've deliberately created, and being happier, healthier, more abundant than I am, working towards that constantly. That I guess the things for me that I'm always working on is, consciously seeking joy in our lives, finding moments of appreciation. Where I say abundance, because that comes from everything that we attract to us, people and opportunities and, experiences. And I'm going to say the thing that I treasure most is freedom. And so for me, in 5 years, I'll be living a life where it's all on my terms, everything, I've got, a husband, and we have, we've got big dreams. We're going to travel around Australia and homeschool the kids, hopefully next year. So doing that. One of the things that's always been on my dream list, and it was interesting when this came back to me because I'd written it off as a possibility so many years ago.
Yeah, you passed.
It was just like, it was the pie in the sky impossibility. But I've always wanted to own a vineyard in the south of France.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that's where I'm going to be. You'll find me in 5 years on my vineyard in south of France, and just living life. So I have business goals and personal goals and things that I want to achieve. As I mentioned before, every experience that we have, it kind of, that vision is going to constantly change because we are evolving, and what we, with every experience that we have, and we identify, well, I didn't like that. So we get closer to what we do want. So for me, again, having that really fixed kind of end goal, I've learned over time that once you get that, you kind of go through this stage of, oh, right, well, what next? So I'm always open to new opportunities and new ways to express myself. And, I've got, I'm writing my first book, which is really exciting.
Wow, awesome.
They're having doing my own oracle card deck as well, which that's in the process of becoming as well. So I think, you know, next year is going to be a massive year coming off the back of this one, and carrying this momentum through into next year is pretty exciting. And then, yeah, just from there, watch it all unfold. And
yeah, who knows?
yeah, exactly.
That's exciting, Lisa. That's so many new things that have developed just in the short time, like you said, 5 months. So you know, it's interesting just how quickly, when you make that decision to consciously connect to what you do want, how it all evolves. And I strongly believe that life is about experiences, and experiences with people. So I'm sure that it's going to be an amazing journey for you. It's just like, look at it go, girl.
I know, and I'm excited. So I'm coming back up to Brizzy on late January. So I think we're going to try and organise a catch up and get everyone together, which will be amazing to meet yourself and everyone else that, you know, in that community face to face. And so yeah, no, I already feel the momentum moving in, and it's I guess what we were talking about before we jumped on live is just kind of knowing, though, once that, you know, staying centered and staying grounded, because it's easy to kind of get caught up in the whirlwind of things. And I always find for myself that when I get to that space and I'm kind of, I've lost my center, I've lost my, you know, my true north, and I have to revisit that and come back to real, get that clarity on why I'm doing things and what I want to achieve from it, and how I can serve through what I'm doing, not just get caught up in the doing, like to come back into that. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, exciting things are happening for 2021. I'm really looking forward to 2021, as you are probably. So ladies, this is the last coffee chat that we'll be having for 2020. So I wish you all a fabulous Christmas. Lisa, thank you so much for being our guest, and I look forward to hopefully having another coffee chat next year with you at some stage, and wishing you and your family all the very best. Prosperity to you all. I know that it's going to be an amazing year, so we will see you in 2021, everyone. So take care and love. Bye for now. Bye.